Oh my God. I have been speaking and I'm on mute. Okay, let me do this again. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another Motivation Monday. And thank you so much, first and foremost, to Ren. Thank you for being the first one to show up tonight. Thank you for that. And again, to everyone who's watching right now, thank you so much for tuning in. It's your Monday motivation. Sorry, it's Motivation Monday, and we are going to be talking about how to be bolder. All right. And of course, I'd like to say my shout outs to Miss Jamie. If you're watching right now, thank you so much for tuning in. And also to everyone in Baguio who are our swabbers in there. So thank you so much for constantly tuning in for the past couple of days. Thank you so much for always supporting the channel and for always contributing to the conversation. Again, please feel free to join the conversation. Our topic for tonight is all about how to be bolder. And let me just share my screen. Oh, before that, let me introduce myself to those who are new to the channel. Please say your highs and hellos. I'd really love to get to know you. My name is Ivorine. I'm a real estate broker in the Philippines. I'm also a motivational speaker and I'm also a writer. And I do this every single night from Mondays to Saturdays, every 8 p.m. And we do this so that we can also, talk about the non-mainstream conversations and also to have, to inspire, cheer, and empower people as we go along amidst the pandemic. And of course, to just have, a break from the daily toxic news and the daily toxicity. So if you have the chance to watch every single night, I really appreciate it. And also, I hope this channel also contributes to your day and to having some positive outlook in life. Okay, so let me let me start the discussion or the conversation. Hello, Sir Joseph. Thank you. And also to FO1 Neil Virgil Castulo Canindas and FO1 Arthur Mendoza. Thank you so much for constantly tuning in. Thank you. All right. So how do we really become bolder? Um, Most people who know me actually always think that I'm always so confident about myself, I mean, never second guessing myself. But of course, I also second guess myself. There are also times that I ask myself if I'm even worthy of these things or if I'm really qualified to do these things. Of course, it's always that tiny voice inside your head. When that tiny voice speaks up, you start to second guess yourself, and it's common. Like every person that I know probably experiences this, so don't worry about it. It's something that's normal, but there's always a way on how to work around it. Let me Okay, so the question is, why do we really second guess ourselves? Oh, that's too tiny. I'm I'm not wearing any contacts, so I'm gonna look here. Okay, so why do we second guess ourselves? The first one is we probably had negative experiences in the past. And of course, negative experiences, they either make us or break us. That's very common. It either makes us feel really good about ourselves once we have survived it, or it really makes us feel so bad about ourselves that the moment that we have already survived it, we tend to like always doubt that it's going to happen again, or maybe we become paranoid or whatever. So those negative experiences in the past, they really are something that we should not fear. We should not fear. We should revisit them every now and then and learn from them. But sometimes all they do is they become a contributing factor on why we second guess ourselves. The second one is we compare ourselves with others. And let me tell you this again, it's a very normal human reaction when we compare ourselves with other people. We I mean, even the famous names that I know, that I personally know, they still compare themselves with others. They say that they're not as good as this person or that person. It's really very common, but it's something that we have to avoid because it's not going to help us. Also, we never compare apples and oranges, how sweet apples are or how bitter this fruits are. You know how it works, right? So we should never compare ourselves with others, especially that every person is really unique and every person has his or her own capabilities. However, again, that's the reason why we second guess ourselves. Whenever we already feel confident and then we will look at other people, we compare ourselves with them. That's already the trigger. That's how do you say it? It's like, you're trying to when you're trying to trigger something, that's really the worst trigger when you compare yourself with others. Another reason why we second guess ourselves is when we have a really low self-esteem. And I think I've already had an episode about self-esteem. Tama ba? I did, right? In my previous episodes, I think I already talked about self-esteem. Okay, so we've been doing this for a long while now, so I can barely remember. But anyway, so we have low self-esteem for several reasons. Also, one of those is negative experiences, maybe in the past or maybe in our childhood. But again, we second guess ourselves because we are not confident about ourselves. Another thing, and another reason why we second guess ourselves is the fear of failure and rejection. And again, it's a pretty common fear. It's not as if you're the only one experiencing it. There are so many people who experience that. But the difference is there are people who do something about it and there are also people who succumb to it. 'Di ba? Merong tao na nararamdaman yung fear of failure, but they work around it or they work against it. Meron naman mga tao that when they're scared of failure, when they fear failure and rejection, they become cowards. Okay, mas natatakot, mas ayaw nang gawin yung mga bagay-bagay. So again, it's really up to you, right? And that's why we're doing this nightly conversations so that we will be able to help ourselves. Because you know what, even if you have the best coach in the whole wide world, the first person and even the last person to help you out is really yourself. You really have to work on yourself every single time. Okay, so again, there are so many reasons about why we second guess ourselves, but these are the top four for me. These are the top four reasons why we second guess ourselves. Right. Again, if you want to join the conversation, this is a live broadcast, so you can definitely join the conversation. You can just post your comments on the comment section below. Hello, Sir Taya. Good evening po. Second honor, Ma'am Ice. Ayun, hindi ko, sir, agad nakita yung... Hindi ko agad nakita, sir, yung comment po ninyo. Ayan. So, again, those are the reasons. And the question is, why do we need to be bolder? I mean, we're comfortable, we are maybe successful, maybe we are having the time of our lives, but why do we really need to be bolder? Bakit kailangan nating maging bolder? I don't know how you put this in Tagalog. You know, if you can convert this sentence, this question in Tagalog, because you already know, right? Medyo weakness ko yung pag-translate from English to Filipino. But yun, why do we need to be bolder? The first reason for that is, of course, for better decision making. When you're bolder, you're just confident about your decision making skills. And you cannot have sound decision making if you are not confident or if you're not bold enough to take that decision. And a lot of us are doing our decisions or are making our decisions based on our emotions. Now, there are two ways to decide, right? You can either use your logic or you can either use your emotion. And sometimes, if not most of the time, people decide based on our emotions, right? For example, we buy something because we want it more than we need it. And that's true. I mean, there are so many items everywhere, and people buy them not because most of the time people buy them because they want them, not really need them. Like, why would online shopping be a thing if it's all about needs, right? Why would luxury items be on why would luxury items be a trend if everyone's just buying based on need? A 100,000 peso bag is just a bag, right? But why do people want a 100,000 peso bag over a 10,000 peso bag or a 1,000 peso bag. Yes, obviously they have they have different qualities, they have different characteristics, they have different these are manufactured differently. In fact, the most expensive ones are handmade, right? They're sewn by hand. But the point is most people actually buy them out of want, not really out of need. So most people really decide based on their emotions. And so we need to be bolder when we are doing our decisions, because most of the time, again, we are basing it on our emotions. So when we decide from a point of view of someone who's second guessing himself or herself, then our decisions are not sound. Our decisions may be somehow let's say, may somehow jeopardize things because we're not confident when we did them or when we made them. So I hope that made sense. Next is to gain trust. Okay, if we are bolder, if we are confident with our decisions and with our actions, people tend to trust us. Okay? Mas magtitiwala ka sa isang tao na kumbaga, komportable sa decision niya at sa mga actions niya. You would trust someone who's bolder than someone who second guesses himself or herself. I mean, kahit sa trabaho, kahit sa loob ng family natin, kahit sa friends natin, mas magtitiwala ka dun sa isang tao na mukhang confident dun sa sinasabi niya. Right? And of course, when you're bolder, people tend to trust you more than they trust other people who do not trust themselves. Remember what I said in previous episodes, everything starts from within us. So if people see that we actually trust our decisions, people will also trust us with our decisions. Okay? Next is I don't know why I have this this animation. Should have removed them. Okay, next. Another thing is, of course, we need to be bolder because we need to express ourselves. And culturally speaking, us Filipinos, hindi tayo mahilig mag-express ng sarili natin. We tend to just, keep quiet about things, and, we're really non-confrontational. Ayaw natin masyado ng gulo. Kaya wag na lang, parang ganon. But, expressing ourselves does not mean causing a conflict. And there are so many ways on how to express ourselves. In previous episodes, I've already talked about how do we express ourselves and how do we really communicate, right? But again, to be bolder, and the reason why we need to be bolder is so that we can express ourselves without jeopardizing relationships, without harming relationships, or while building relationships, right? Another thing is to face our fears. Every person has fears. It's impossible for a person not to have them. So lahat naman tayo merong kinatatakutan. It's just that the big difference is that some people have so many fears and some people have less fears. So another difference is some people have fears and face them. Some people have fears and turn away from them. Okay, so you really just have to choose. There are only two choices. You have your fears and then you face them. You have your fears and then you run away from them. So what do you need to do? Of course, to be bolder, you need to face your fears. Okay. Next is to embrace your flaws and magnify your strengths. To be able to be bolder, kailangan mo kasi i-recognize yung flaws mo. When you want to be a stronger type of person, you don't just magnify your strengths. You also embrace your flaws. And I've said this several times in previous episodes that we really have to embrace our flaws. The first person to know our flaws is ourselves, and the first person to embrace them is also us. Laging sa atin nagmumula. If we want people to embrace our flaws, tayo muna mag-embrace ng flaws natin. It's never wrong to have flaws. But what's wrong is that not recognizing it and not fixing it. Okay, so embrace our flaws and magnify our strengths. Okay, another thing is, of course, you need to be bolder because this is the reason, this is a way to get what you want. Yun naman, di ba? The reason why we do all these things is because we want to empower ourselves, because there are so many goals that we have that we want to achieve. And so we need to be bolder because we want to get what we want. And the reason and the way to do that is really to focus on yourself, to strengthen yourself, and then to be bolder. So we will proceed to on how to become bolder. Paano nga ba tayo magiging bolder? Hindi ko pa rin alam yung Tagalog. So, hello sa inyong mga nasa audience dyan. Kung alam niyo paano siya itatagalog, tulungan niyo naman ako. Pakilagay na lang dyan sa comment section dyan sa baba. Hindi ko alam kung paano siya itatagalog. Paano mas maging matapang? Yun ba yun? Okay. You can take any of these steps, by the way. Okay, the first step on how to be bolder is you have to really get to know yourself in a deeper level or on a deeper level. And when I say, oops, sorry for that. And when I say on a deeper level, you really have to get to know what you want, what you don't want, what you fear, what you lack, everything about you. So it's just like finding out about your crush, but this time it's really so much about yourself. Like for so many years, people thought I'll tell you this, okay? Just a little background. For so many years, people thought that I really really love pink, and so people started giving me a lot of pink stuff, pink everything, like whatever gifts that they're gonna give me, it's always pink. So I just got used to them. Like I just got used to receiving pink stuff. But I really never. I'm not really a big fan of pink. I was actually a big fan of orange and reds. And I was like, okay, since people remember me for pink, then I'll use pink instead because that's how people got to know me. But actually, I know what I want. I really want anything that's really really bright. I really like bright colors like um red and orange. Pink is also okay, but the neon ones. So that's just a little bit about me. But on a deeper level, I know exactly what I want and I know exactly what I don't want. Okay, sometimes you really have to start with, if you don't know what you want, you have to start with what you don't want. So at least you have, a contrast of things. So you really have to know you really have to get to know yourself in a deeper level, especially that it's easy for people to dictate. If you don't know what you want, people will try to dictate your life, try to control over your life, and try to tell you a lot of things. And if you don't know, if you don't have a foundation of what you want and what you are, it's easy to just get the influence or just be under the influence of other people. So that's really something that we have to work on. We have to get to know ourselves in a way like other people, in a way that um this is what we also want other people to see. Kasi 'di ba, ang nangyayari is we see this version of ourselves and then people look at us differently. Pero actually, tingin lang natin, they look at us differently kasi yun din naman kasi yung pinakita natin. So, you get what I'm saying, right? So, kung ano yung papakita mo, yun lang din yung nakikita ng mga tao. So, you can actually not naman control, but you can show or manifest what you want other people to see by knowing first what you really, really want to be. Okay, so ganon. Next is be acquainted with your fears. I mentioned this several times in my previous episodes. I have a very I think it's not really my worst fear, but I'm really scared of height. And the only way I actually I actually got over it is I became a member of the Pep Squad, and I was one of the flyers. And you really have to work on your fear of height if you're working with a Pep Squad as a flyer, kasi tatapon ka nila eh. So heights kung height. So if you're scared of height, Pep Squad, the Flyers team is not for you, right? But that's what I did. I really got acquainted with my fear, and instead of working with it, I worked against it. Hindi po pwede na forever ganito na lang ba tayo, ganyan. So So I worked against it. So paano ko paano ko how can I conquer my fear if I'm not acquainted with it? So kailangan makilala mo yung kinatatakutan mo. Okay? Another thing is I really, really despise the water. But what I did para mawala yung takot ko sa tubig, I jumped on a 10 feet high na pool. So that's what I did. So nasa pinakailalim na ako, na-realize ko, pwede naman pala akong, ano ba tawag doon, lumuntak ulit. Ganon. Okay, so that's not so bad. I thought to myself, that's not so bad. That was really deep, but that's not so bad. So syempre dun lang ako sa safe and, where people can actually see me just in case I drown. But I also learned how to swim kahit na takot ako sa tubig before. Okay? So it's really so much about being acquainted with your fears and working against it, not not running away from it. Another step that we can talk about is see this one. I know you're familiar with this and maybe you're singing it in your head. If you're from the 90s, you would probably recognize this one. Ayan, hulaan na lang ninyo kung saan yan, but it's really knowing what you want, what you really, really want. Okay, so that's kind of a song which will give me an LSS later on. Know what you want, what you really, really want. And as I mentioned earlier, you have to get to know yourself on a deeper level, because if you don't get to know yourself on a deeper level, it's really hard to be bolder. And also, it's really hard to know what you want. So, dapat talaga malinaw sa atin kung ano yung gusto natin. You can't ask for something that you're not sure if you want it. And sometimes, people just assume that we want it and then we don't want it. People just assume that we don't want it even if we want it. Kasi we are giving mixed signals. Alam niyo yun? Sometimes we're giving mixed signals to people and then they give us what we don't really want. Sometimes, diba? Parang ano to sa relasyon. I mean, sa babae, lalaking yung nagpapakiramdaman lang. Tapos akala mo type ka, hindi naman pala. Kasi mixed signals. So, ganun din sa buhay natin in general. If we don't really know what we want, we're just gonna get random things. Kasi hindi mo naman alam talaga kung ano yung gusto mo, di ba? So, yun. Be very specific about what you want. Be very, very specific. Okay? Another thing, to be bolder, we have to keep our eyes on the prize. And what's the prize? You can call it a goal, you can call it an objective, you can call it a destination, but keep your eyes on the prize. Bakit mo ginagawa yung mga bagay-bagay? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? It's really all about, achieving a goal. So keep your eyes on the prize. If you want to make things happen, you're just gonna constantly think about the reasons why you're doing it. Diba? Sabi nga nila, kung ayaw, tama ba? Kung ayaw, maraming dahilan. Kung gusto, maraming paraan. Just like to become bolder, you really have to keep your eyes on the prize. Okay? Wala kang excuses kapag may gusto kang makuha. Okay? And, okay. So, kahit na mahirap to, I'll still remind you about this. Don't listen too much. Okay, ano ibig sabihin nun? Because most of the time, we tend to listen to a lot of people. And I'm also guilty about it, I'm also guilty of it pala. I'm also guilty of, listening to people, giving me random comments about what I'm doing, criticizing me for whatever. I receive a lot of those, to be quite honest about it. Those who are bold, will always have any comment. So, lahat naman tayo, makaka-receive tayo ng mga random comments around us. Really, let me tell you this. Don't listen too much. If you're gonna listen, make sure that you are listening to the right person. Because if you listen to the wrong person, you're gonna end up really disappointed, really frustrated, or maybe really demotivated. So listen only when you think whatever that you're listening to will contribute to your growth. If not, okay, don't listen too much. Okay? Yung tawag sa atin, di ba? Pasok sa kaliwang tenga, labas sa kanang tenga. Wag ninyong masyadong, ano ba tawag doon? Wag masyadong damdamin, wag masyadong dibdibin yung mga bagay-bagay. Kasi kapag ka dinibdib mo yan, hindi naman makakatulong, sayang naman ang effort mo, di ba? Listen to those people who you believe will contribute to your growth. Listen to the people who you believe will will who you believe will help you out. Doon kayo makinig, doon sa mga taong may maitutulong sa paglaki ninyo. Kung wala, wag na kayong makinig masyado. Rumors, gossips, negative comments, yung mga hindi helpful na comments, hate comments, bash comments, whatever. Those comments, don't listen to them. Okay, if you want to listen, you can, but don't put it in your heart. Just listen to it and then let it go. Pero better not to listen at all. Okay? Pag hindi makakatulong, wag na ninyong papakinggan. Next, I always hear this from my friends, yung fake it till you make it. Okay. When I was in high school and college, I have a very bad stage fright. But each time I have to go on stage because I was a stage actress when I was in high school and college, I always fake it. Okay. Di ba sabi nila, fake it till you make it. So, pinifake ko lang talaga kasi grabe talaga yung nervous ko kapag nasa stage ka na kasi ang daming nanonood, right? A lot of people are watching you. And I know that I will be criticized by so many people in the audience, and I know that so many people know me here. Maybe they have negative comments about me, so I have a lot of things in my head while I'm on stage. But whenever I'm already on stage, I will fake it. I will believe that I'm a very good actress. I will believe that I can sing, I can act, I can cry on stage, I will make people laugh. So it was really based on that. But recently, I heard so many of my friends saying that fake it till you make it. What does that mean? Well, faith. I have faith in it until you make it happen. So that's what it means by fake it. Hindi na uso yung fake it. Kasi pag fake it till you make it, parang peke ka eh, di ba? Hindi ka legit. But when we say fake it till you make it, so you pray hard and work really hard until you make something work. So that's fake it till you make it. So how do you become bolder? Fake it till you make it. And remember, faith should be coupled with action. Hindi puro faith lang. Puro dasal lang. Diba? Sabi sa Filipino, nasa Diyos ang awa, nasa tao ang gawa. So faith plus action, so that you can make it happen. Tahimik kayo ngayon ah. O ako lang ba yung wala? Baka mamaya wala na akong signal. Daldal pa ako. Walang nagko-comment ngayon sa audience. Ako lang ba yun? Baka mamaya ang daming nagsasalita dyan sa audience. Anyway, hi everyone! To those who just came in, thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, next is, how do we really become bolder? Well, ask for what you want. Paano kung, what if? Well, I will tell you this. You will never know until you ask. And you don't control the results, only your efforts. So just ask for what you want. So what if they don't give it to you? Well, at least you ask. What if they don't believe in what you're saying? Well, at least you ask. What if they're not willing to give it to you? Well, at least you ask. Ask. Okay? You really have to ask for what you want so that we will know the answer. Will you have it? Will they give it to you? Well, you will never know, right? Until you ask. So, ask. Tanong para malaman natin ang sagot. Hindi mo malalaman ang sagot kung hindi ka magtatanong. Simple, di ba? So, somehow, this last tip is really so much about, this is very basic. Most people don't do this because we have so many inhibitions, so many things in our head, so many over-analytical tendencies. But the thing is, we never ask. paano mo makukuha kung hindi ka naman nagtatanong? 'Di ba? Ganun lang naman yun ka-simple. It's not as simple as it is, but if you put it very simply, that's how simple it is. Ask for what you want. If they don't give it to you, well, at least you ask. I'll share this with you as my that was quick. I'll share this with you before I close my talk for tonight. I've heard this somewhere, so I'm just quoting it from based on what I have heard before. Maybe, maybe the reason why you don't have it is because you never asked for it. Sometimes, actually, karamihan naman sa mga tao, no, most people that we know, even us personally, we have so many things that we want. We want so many things. And yet, why don't we have it? Did you ever ask yourself why you don't have the things that you want? Maybe one of the reasons that you don't have what you really really want is because you never had the courage to ask for it. And going back to what I said earlier, it doesn't matter if it will be given to you. What matters is that you ask for it. Even in the Bible, as I've mentioned several times, I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual, and I believe in our superior being. I have faith. Yeah, right. And my favorite Bible verse of all time is Matthew Matthew chapter 7 verse 7. And to those who know what this means, I mean to those who know this Bible passage, it's about um, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened. So maybe the reason why you don't have it is because you never asked for it. Maybe the reason why we don't have it is because we didn't pray for it. Di ba? Kahit kay God, kailangan nating magtanong eh. Di ba? So, kailangan nating magtanong. The only one of the best ways to be bolder is to ask for what we want. Okay, so hopefully I was able to share something with you on a Monday evening, and I hope this empowered you to be bolder. And again, it's not an easy task. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of ano pa ba? It takes a lot of guts. But guts is not something that is freely given to us. We really have to work on it every single day. So every day, magsimula ka muna sa maliliit na bagay. Start asking for small things. Okay? So small things ka muna. Start asking those not so tough questions until you become comfortable asking tougher questions to get what you want. Okay? So hopefully this episode help you out in whatever you're thinking about tonight, and maybe you're here because you're also wondering what it is that you want to have and yet you don't have it yet. And I will tell you this, maybe you don't have it because you never asked for it. So ask. And once again, this is Irene. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any suggested topics that you would like me to talk about, please feel free to send me a message on my inbox. You can also send me a message on my WhatsApp. You can also send me an email at business@ivorine.com. And I'll see you again tomorrow. For tomorrow's topic, I will be talking about, ano nga ba yung topic ko for tomorrow? No, I forgot. Ah, are you a control freak? Yun yung ano natin. Yun yung episode natin for tomorrow. Are you a control freak? So that's our episode for Thinking Tuesdays. And once again, this is Irene. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Bye, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless you all.